Are you like most sales and other professionals who want to grow their wealth faster than what they are currently doing through their company 401k, even with that company match, the stock market, or just plain saving money? Would you sleep better at night if you had the financial freedom to be job optional in just 3 to 5 years through investing in real assets? Maybe you don't want to stop working, but wouldn't it be cool if you could retire a decade earlier than most? And do the traveling you and your family have planned for years while you're still young and can enjoy it? Let's face it, most busy professionals don't have the time or desire to take on more work outside of their W-2 to grow their wealth. On The Wealth Flow, each week we share the stories, the investments, and take a deep dive into the various asset classes that can deliver that accelerated growth to your portfolio passively. That's right, no extra work for you. Instead, we'll put your money to work. Learn what the 95% aren't talking about and join the top 5% of earners today on The Wealth Flow.
Okay, welcome to The Wealth Flow. My guest today is Anne Michelle Wand. Wand, okay, perfect. She is
Like
an
magic.
international, all right, perfect. She is an international real estate expert and investor, a former single mom turned successful real estate investor who now lives in paradise on a Caribbean island in Panama, debt-free. Anne Michelle enjoys her life from this dream location, creating international investment opportunities for high-earning professionals to diversify outside of the U.S. She loves to share how to expand your dream of financial freedom as your ally and having inspiring conversations about investing abroad in emerging markets such as Panama. With over 40 years of experience in real estate investing in emerging markets, including Panama, Mexico, and the U.S., based in the beautiful archipelago of, you might help me out on this one. Where are you located in Panama?
I'm located in Bocas del Toro, Panama, and it's an archipelago of 9 islands off the north coast.
There we go. Okay, perfect. Sounds beautiful just in the name itself. And so, I'm excited about this, Anne Michelle. It's always piqued my interest to invest somewhere outside of the United States, and certainly, somewhere in Central America seems like a really cool spot. Tell us a little bit about, your background. What eventually, I like to go really far back, where you grew up and really what eventually led you to this profession of real estate and then investing internationally.
Okay. Well, I spent my childhood in upstate New York. My parents had a business. And then I went to college in Miami, Florida. I didn't finish college. I quit to get married and had children young. And we moved ultimately to Colorado. And that's where I really grew up, because having children makes you grow up fast, especially if you have them young. And and I settled down into that marriage. But I always had a wanderlust, always wanted to travel the world, and didn't really get to do it before I got married, since it just didn't happen that way. But I lived in the mountains of Colorado, and then that marriage, after 10 years, wasn't working anymore, and we got a divorce. And that was really the start of my achieving my own dreams for myself and my children. I started to travel as I got more financially stable, started out with jobs, then worked my way into my own businesses. I tried several different businesses. I really wanted to support my children to go to private school. I ended up becoming a hairdresser because I didn't want to go back to college. And that allowed me the flexibility to raise my kids and go to their PTA meetings and still make a good living. But I knew that I needed more than that to save for retirement and travel the world like I wanted to. So on the side from having my hair salons, I invested in real estate. I saw it as a vehicle that I could achieve, and I took some courses they were offering in my town at the time. I lived in Boulder, Colorado, and just tried my hand at investing and was successful at it. And I can tell you the first deal that I did was a combination of buying my own home and investing, which they say not to do, but it does work if you do it right. I found a house that was on the outskirts of Boulder. It was on an acre of land. And that acre of land could be subdivided into 4 lots if you annex to the city, and you could also hook up to the city services. So I did that with 13 of my neighbors, which I gathered to help them do it with me. And we annexed in, we subdivided our lots, and I sold the 3 lots and was able to pay back the down payment for the house, which I had borrowed to the lender, and then also buy another property. And after that, I was just sold on real estate and wanted to do more of it. And I did. And every time I did, I put money aside for a trip or for my kids' education. And I had a girlfriend at the time. We traveled a lot. And every time we traveled, we went to a beautiful, exotic, warm beach. We went. We started out with the easy ones like Mexico. We went to Baja. We went to Playa del Carmen, and then expanded out. We went to Hawaii. We went to Bali, and then decided we were going to travel all over Central America, and look for some place that fit as a place in the sun. I had thought it was going to be Hawaii, and then during my real estate travels, I had actually bought a vacation home in Hawaii for 5 years in the 90s and enjoyed it very much. And we would travel back and forth and vacation there, but discovered that Hawaii wasn't that perfect place for me. It was way too expensive, way too far away. The people weren't that friendly, and the water was colder than I liked. So what I was searching for was something closer to home, and Central America fit that bill, something where the people were friendly. And that the culturally, the Hispanics are very family-oriented and friendly, and cheaper than Hawaii, and definitely in an emerging market in Central America, prices are cheaper, and the water's warmer. It's Caribbean water, and it's 82 degrees, where Hawaii was 78, and that 4 degrees makes a big difference.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun traveling, and finally went to almost every country in Central America visiting, and went to Costa Rica 3 times trying to find the right thing. But we just couldn't. And once we crossed over the border into Panama and explored there, it turned out that was the right place. And within 4 days of being there, had put a deposit on a piece of land there.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's interesting. What a way to start too. Great story there with just being able to kind of subdivide those lots and, get annexed by the city, hook into city utilities, and now all of a sudden you're off to the races. And I love the fact that, each time you maybe did a deal, it was, okay, now we'll put some money aside for the next thing, but we're also going to take a little trip, give yourself a little bit of a reward along the way. So
Yes.
that's awesome. Now, did your kids go with you? I don't know how old they were at the time, but did they traveled alongside you, or what?
So
What did?
when I got divorced, they were 9 and 10.
Okay.
So in the beginning, they didn't go with me much. They needed to stay in school, and we would. But as they got older, yes, some of the trips they went on with us.
Okay. Perfect. And so you explored Hawaii, and it was expensive, but like you said, you loved the place. I went there for my honeymoon, and I decided at that point that was somewhere I wanted to definitely end up. Now I haven't actually. I've been back one other time for another friend of ours' wedding out there, but haven't really been back since. But yeah, good point as far as the water being a little bit colder, because it definitely is a little bit. And So you sounds like you maybe were looking at Costa Rica for a bit, but ultimately landed on Panama as your place.
Yes, we did. We had friends in Costa Rica. We really thought we'd be there, but either the property was too remote or we couldn't afford it with the budget we had at the time. And when we crossed over the border, we realized the benefits of investing in Panama. It was such an incredible emerging market and still is today.
Hmm.
Um, the prices are the cheapest land in the Caribbean still. It's underdeveloped as comparison to other Caribbean islands. Um, and I give it another 20 years, it will be more mature of a market. There's still so many things here, so many opportunities here, not just in real estate, but bringing businesses here because the middle class is growing. It's like the U.S. in the 50s where the middle class was growing and services were needed and businesses were needed.
Yeah. And you guys have a brand new airport there as well. Really nice airport.
Um,
So
I wouldn't call our airport is a small airport with just small planes that can come in, and it's been active since '96. And I
okay.
invested here in '99. I think the newest airport is up in David, where they expanded the David airport to be able to take big jets, and now Copa flies directly from the U.S. Many cities in the U.S. directly to David instead of having to go through Panama City. Now I fully
Okay.
expect that Bocas will get there as well, but it's not there yet.
Okay, that may be the one that I fly on. We go to Colombia, and while I've only flown through there once, but I believe we did fly Copa from like Houston to. I just knew it was Panama. I didn't know which city. So
Yeah, yeah, and Copa would be the main. They have their hub in Panama City. And did you know that they have this extended delay that you can do? You can, if you since they fly through Panama City for so many things, you can take a what do you call it? A layover, a delay, a longer layover. And if you're going to Colombia, you could stay
Mhm.
in Panama for a week or two and still go on the same fare as if you're going to Colombia. I forget what they call it, but um, it's a special promotion to try and get people to stay and visit Panama when they're going to other countries.
Okay, I'll definitely have to check that out for the next trip for sure. So, tell me a little bit about. So, you bought your own primary residence there. Did now have you since bought additional properties to invest? And what does that landscape look like? Are these short-term rentals? What kind of an investment?
Well, that's been an evolution. The first year that I got here, I bought one property, which was a piece of land, and it was on a little island that was 10 minutes away from the town of Bocas that you could only get to by boat. And all the 9 islands are like that. The only way you can get there is by boat, except for the main island where there's the airport. Um, so I bought that piece of land, but I didn't do anything with it for a few years. Just sat on it because I wasn't ready. I was still had all my businesses in the States. I was doing real estate. I had gotten out of the hair salon business by then, sold those hair salons, and I was full time into real estate. I became an agent. I had my own company. I formed groups and we did investing together. We invested in apartment buildings and duplexes and all kinds of stuff, did fix and flips and buy and holds and all of that. So I was still heavily involved and so I had to go back and forth and just take long vacations in Panama. And I didn't really have my own place to stay. So we stayed in hotels at the time or bed and breakfasts. And then the second year that I was down there, I bought a commercial piece of property. And the friend that I traveled with all the time, we split that one. We bought it 50-50. It was a city lot in the town of Bocas. And it didn't have anything on it but 2 palm trees
Hmm.
and a crumbling down cement house. But it's a really great story how we got it. We were there because we've always believed in, how the universe works and brings you opportunities if you're open enough to have them. So I'm standing outside the grocery store and my girlfriend wants to go in and get something. And I don't want to go in because I don't like air conditioning. I'd rather sit out in the warm weather and wait for her. So I'm standing on the corner and a guy comes down the street and he says, "Do you know where I can sell a house in this town?" And I go, I might, where is it? And he kind of points in the direction, and I see that it's in the direction of the ocean. So, just wait a minute for my girlfriend to come out. And when she comes out, we'll go look at it, and we might know somebody. We didn't really say it was us, but so she comes out, and I tell her what's going on. We walk 2 or 3 blocks over to this place where you see this crumbling down cement house and 2 palm trees and a big old buoy that was in the yard. And we walked through it. We talked about the price, and when our jaws dropped when he told us the price, couldn't believe it. And we made an offer on the spot and said, if your paperwork works out, we'll buy the property. And it did work out. And 30 days later, we're the proud owners of a commercial lot. Now, since then, we've built everything that's on it in increments because I didn't have all the money to just build one big thing. So piece by piece, I built my real estate office to open an office there. And I opened a United Country franchise. And my girlfriend had stayed in the salon business, and she opened a spa. And so we built those 2 buildings, my office and her spa. And then we built 3 little casitas to rent out over time. And then a main house where those casita people who were renting could cook and hang out and enjoy. It was sort of like like a hostel. It had community showers and community bathrooms and shared kitchens and then private sleeping rooms. And we were successful with that for many, many years, and we still own the property. I've since retired from the formal real estate business of being an agent and running the company, and now I'm a developer because I still see so many gaps. One of the reasons I opened the real estate office in Bocas was because I could see the need. I could see people were coming down looking for places, and there weren't enough real estate agents to serve them. There was only 3 companies, and none of them were global. So I chose a global company, United Country, to be the best real estate company in town. And I built that up over 10 years and then sold it to a younger couple who wanted to take it to the next level. And when I retired from that, I still see more gaps in this community, and my expertise is real estate. So I decided to build and sell 1 house a year. And I've been retired 3.5 years, and I've built and sold 3 houses now. The 3rd one is just finished. It got finished in December, and I have it on the market for sale. And I'm also forming a group of investors, like a private equity, so that I can raise money to build apartment buildings and tiny homes on a bigger piece of land, because we need communities here that serve other than just people coming down for vacation. There's a lot of expats, a lot of over 55s, and there's not enough places. There's just shortage of housing for those over 55 people who want to retire here, but they might need a little extra help recovering from an accident or an illness or things like that. So I would like to open an over 55 community that has those services, and also have a place on it that is for their digital nomad children to come and visit them or stay parts of the year. So it'll be a really neat community with extra amenities, and it's a big gap in this community.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me a little bit about ownership there. I mean, is it, do you actually own the land? I know depending on countries, I mean, there's always different variations,
Right.
but tell us a little bit about, what makes Panama a good spot to be able to. And I guess a follow-up question to that, Demi, I'll let you start there, but I also I'm curious from a financing standpoint, are we talking all cash deals, or, is there availability for some financing as well?
Okay. Well, Panama is a great place to invest, and we do have both titled properties and what's called rights of possession. So you get your choice of how you want to purchase, and I have both. My personal home is on a rights of possession land that I feel very secure about, because you do the research, and if you do the research, it's like a title search in a way. We're back to the first owners. And if it's clear, then you're fine with it. And you can also title those properties in the future. There's a titling process. And we also have properties that are already titled. Most of those are in the cities, and I'd say about 50% of the properties in Bocas del Toro are already titled. And that's fee simple, just like we have in the States. Foreign investors are welcome here. In fact, they encourage it. And your rights when you buy something are the same as any Panamanian. You have, your fee simple owner.
Okay.
I have paid cash for all of my properties. I owned a third property up in the mountains for a number of years. I won't go into that right now, but there are people, particularly for commercial properties, that have gotten loans or lines of credit. The way I bought one of my first, when I bought the place in the mountains, I tapped into equity in my home in the States. People that have like a home equity line of credit on their house because there's so much equity in it. That's
Yes.
one way to be able to use it is to pay cash down here for things, because financing is harder to get. And most people in the cities, yes, you can go to the bank. We don't have mortgage brokers and get a loan. But here in Bocas, it's much harder.
And so from a, obviously things will vary, but, from a pricing standpoint, what are we talking about here? If you wanted something, I obviously something near the beach, something, I don't know if there's waterfront that's available. Are there condominiums, single family? What are we looking at then?
Well, you're looking at a variety of things. If you want to have something that's on or near the beach, starting prices are probably $200,000 to $300,000 and up. And for the prime properties, right on the beach, it's going to probably be $1 million and up. But I would say that's still a quarter of the price of any other Caribbean island to buy here. We don't have a lot of condos. There are a few. That's the multifamily sector is a gap where I think its time is coming, and that's why I want to build some multifamily to fill that gap. But I want to do it niche down and do it in a sector that's particularly necessary in this town. So you can buy a single family home. There's not really any duplexes very much. There's resorts, family compounds. I would say like people building a home and then building a couple of extra cottages to rent out, that type of thing. So you can find those. It's a little different than in the States, but the advantages is that you're getting in on the ground floor of something and growing with it. And so there's a lot of room for appreciation as well as cash flow. And you just also still get the depreciation that you would when you file your U.S. tax returns.
You get the depreciation just like you would? Okay. That's interesting. And then what about, from a utility standpoint? Is the infrastructure there? I assume you have an electric company. Are you tapping into some kind of a city water, or is it well, or what does that typically
That's going to be
look like?
different on each island. But I'm
Okay.
glad you asked that, because that's another one of the attractive things about investing here is that the infrastructure is right in the middle of being upgraded. The government has allocated a few $1 million to redo all the roads, which there's only roads on one island, that's Isla Colón, but they're redoing all the roads and they're redoing all the sewers and the drainage swales underneath those roads. And on top, when they're paving it, they're putting in real sidewalks and bike paths. So that's huge for us. And they're in the middle of that project right now. It's about 1 year in and got another year and a half to finish it. The electricity is also being expanded all over the island and to other islands. There used to be, I would have to say that out of the 9 islands, only 3 of them have on-grid electric. Everybody else is off-grid, including us. So we are on solar and rain catchment for our energy sources, and we have our own septic system. If you live on Isla Colón, Isla Caranero, or parts of Bastimentos, there is a city services, and those are being upgraded as I told you about as we speak. We have fiber optics now for internet. The internet used to be slow and cumbersome, but now it's on par with everyone else because we had fiber optics for underneath the ocean to the islands, and we have just as good an internet as anybody else. So all those digital nomads are coming down in droves and trying to find a
Yeah.
spot to operate.
That's great. And what about like the beaches? So even if you're not like say waterfront, are the beaches open? Are they public, or is it
Oh,
the combination of public and private, or what does that look like?
that's a great question. The beaches are public, and even people who buy property on the beach have to leave a path within the first 20 meters for people to walk through. They can't necessarily, hang out on the person's private property, but they have to have a path to be able to walk around. So the beaches are public. And
Okay.
then there's a variety of types of, not everything is beachfront because often the beachfronts are on very active oceans. They're on the windward side of the islands where the waves are big. So you're not often able to park your boat there. So what they'll do is they'll make a marina on the inward side, the leeward side of the island, and then you would go across to the other side to have your house. And that's like, for example, Red Frog development is a housing development with about 40 homes. And they have this marina on the leeward side of Bastimentos. And then they created roads like golf cart paths that you could drive across to your house on the other side and have the view of the open ocean. And
Okay.
those houses probably start at 500,000 and up. They might have some condos at 400 or so, just guessing. Uh, And then, so there's beachfront, which is the most expensive. We have 5 different beautiful beaches. It's kind of more of an off-white sand, not a white sand. And we have waterfront, which looks out over the ocean, but isn't necessarily beaches. It's either on a cliff or on a rocky beach or even mangrove, but on a hill overlooking the ocean. And
Okay.
here you're allowed to build on pier posts in the ocean, and that's what my house is. We built on a piece of property that's flat in the back, and we built pier posts in the water, and our house extends above that.
Oh wow, that sounds amazing.
So
And
I
and
have the
what
ocean front without the sand.
right, yeah, exactly. And what about as far as so kind of in that general area, and you can correct me. I'm just kind of guessing here, but you don't have as big of an issue with hurricanes, that kind of thing, right? I mean, is that
We don't have
primarily
any issues with hurricanes. We are in
okay?
a belt that's 9 degrees from the equator, and hurricanes don't start until 12 degrees from the equator. So they pass us right by. We do get
Okay,
some tropical storms. We get some heavy winds and heavy rains at times, but nothing of hurricane force ever
okay,
comes here.
great. Yeah, that's neat. And then what about okay, I guess Spanish speaking, but do a lot of people know English, or like say if you don't know Spanish and you are to go down there, are you going to be able to get around okay, or is it good to have somebody with you that speaks Spanish? My wife does. I'm learning, but
Nice,
not
nice.
quite there yet.
Aprendiendo, right?
Right.
Aprendiendo. So that's another really good question. And you can live in Panama without speaking Spanish. They certainly appreciate it if you try to learn, and it's a sign of respect if you try to speak Spanish with them and they help you. But you don't have
Yeah.
to because m- most people do speak English, especially in the education. If they've had any kind of education, they'll speak some English. The people that don't speak English are the ones that come from the comarcas, the Indians and the natives that haven't gone to school and don't have those skills. And the ones that come to the city and get jobs, they learn English on the job. So even
Right.
many of them do. But if you go to, for example, a restaurant, your waitress might not speak good English. You know.
Yeah. Makes
If
sense.
you if you hire local natives for a job, like mowing your yard or spreading rocks and things like that the jobs that they do, they might not speak very good English. And then it's really good to have somebody that can interpret Like we have a caretaker in our place, and he directs the other 2 workers that work for Doug, my husband, because the 2 workers don't speak English, but the caretaker Emilio does. So he is a liaison, and we're trying to learn Spanish, but we're not fluent.
Okay. Okay. And what about, some of the things that, I just, in traveling, like I say, my wife's from Colombia, so we go down there quite a bit. One thing that's a lot different there, that was kind of a surprise for me, that we just don't seem to have here, unless you're wealthy, is just having some help. So like, somebody that, kind of comes during the day to help out with fixing meals, that kind of thing. Is that customary down there, or is that not really something that you see as much?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons people move here is
Hmm.
because they can live in more luxury for half the cost.
For
And
sure.
that may or may not include having somebody that, comes in and cleans and cooks for you, or have somebody that takes care of the yard. Like I said, we have a full-time caretaker that lives on our property, and that's part of his salary, so that we can go on vacation and we don't have to worry about whether things are going to be run correctly at the house. Since we're on solar, we have to have somebody that pays attention to that. And because my husband runs a nonprofit, and he restores coral and restores fish habitats, he has aquariums in the back, and somebody has to take care of those and make sure that they stay energized and running properly.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. What about, from a crime standpoint? Some people, when they think about Central America, they may think, oh gosh, what about the crime? Same thing whenever I tell people I'm going to Colombia, you hear, oh, is that safe to go down there? And so just curious, I mean, are there things that you need to be aware of, things that you need to, um, I guess, give us your impression since you've been living down there?
I feel very safe in Panama, and I always have. Because I was single for years before I got with my current partner, and I never felt unsafe walking around the streets here or going any place that I wanted to go. Now, in any city, there's going to be a certain element and places you don't want to go, especially late at night, and that exists here as well. So,
Yeah.
but I'm usually home by 10 o'clock. Um, and have never felt fear. I feel very safe in my house. Uh, I feel there's very low crime here. We have petty crime where your cell phones or computers get stolen,
Mhm.
but we don't have a lot of violent crime. We might have a murder every 5 years. Where else can you say that? But
Yeah,
we
for sure.
we we do have those things, and we have very low, like, armed robberies and that kind of thing. But we do have them occasionally. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but it's low compared to other places.
Yeah, for sure. And so as far as getting to the island, if you're in the US, you're gonna take a flight, what, to Panama City, or what is typically
For
the route?
Bocas, you would take a flight to Panama City, and then depending on what time you get to Panama City, you change airports and take another flight to Bocas. That's how
Okay.
I've done it most of the time. Some people on their first time here want to drive across the country so they can see the country and explore different areas, because there's so many places for expats to explore and find their perfect place. But once you've done that once and figured out, the logistics, my preference is to fly. I think that pretty soon you'll probably be able to fly from one airport, but right now it's two. It's very easy to come into Panama City, grab a taxi, and go to the other airport. And you want to leave yourself about at least a 2-hour window, because you have to be at the airport an hour ahead, and it takes about 30 minutes to get there from the other airport. So a minimum of a 2-hour window. Better is like a 3 or 4 hour window, just so you're not rushed. If you don't get there in time to make it the same day, you spend the night in Panama City, have a nice dinner, and get up in the morning and take the flight in the morning.
Okay. And are there multiple flights a day to
Air,
the island?
Air Panama flies during high season 4 times a day. And there's a
Okay.
second airline called Flytrip that flies once a day in addition to that.
And what type of planes are there from like Panama City to the island? Are these smaller planes? Like imagining like Belize kind of works like that. If you want to go, you fly into Belize and then you can hop on. It's a charter plane, but it's not like your huge plane. But I mean, it's still really good size
Yes.
and a number of
Air
people can fit.
Panama has like a sort of like a United Express. It holds maybe around 30 people. And
Okay.
then Flytrip is more like a charter plane turned public. And they're the ones that you can fly with your animals in the cabin, and it's a very reasonable charter fee to do that.
Okay. Okay. And from a cost standpoint, obviously if you're flying from the US, it's going to be whatever it is to get to Panama
Yeah.
City, but that little hop over to the island, what is that typically going to be?
That runs, I think it's going to depend on your timing, but there's a range. I would say from 200 to 250 is
Okay.
that round trip for that flight.
Okay. So that's round trip. All right. And then, and you've helped people invest in other areas as well. What about in Mexico? Before we hop to Mexico, maybe anything else about Panama that you'd like the audience to know?
You've really done a thorough job of asking good questions and giving somebody a basic groundwork for Panama. So I can't think of anything else right off the top of my head to answer about that.
One other question I have on Panama, though. Obviously I'm thinking Caribbean water, but what are some of the things that people come there to do? Are we talking scuba diving, snorkeling? Sounds like maybe on at least one side of the island, there may be some surfing and I would imagine great fishing.
Yes. Yes
All
to all
those?
of those.
Okay.
Any water sports that you want to do, you can pretty much do here. We have snorkeling, diving, surfing, water skiing, although water skiing is not like a common thing. I do see people occasionally doing it.
Okay.
What else? Kayaking, fishing.
Yeah.
There was a guy that tried some kite surfing for a while. I don't see him around anymore. But pretty much anything, it's very, if you're a water person like I am, then there's just about anything to do on the water that you want to do here. There's
Okay.
tours and excursions you can take to outer islands and explore, like they call there's a place where there's a monkey sanctuary, and there's a place called Escudo that's a beautiful undeveloped island, and the Zapatillas, which is a marine protected park, and those kinds of excursions as well.
Okay. And what about, I know in other places in Central America, you have some of like the Mayan ruins and things like that. Or do you have some of that in the Panama area as well? Like the
I'm not
pyramids?
aware of any Mayan ruins, but there is a deep culture here for the Indian tribes. There are 7 different Indian tribes throughout the country. The one that is that lives here in Bocas is Nagabi. They're very prevalent here, and they live on comarcas on different areas of each island. And so you can take trips. There's tours you can take to see how they do their weavings and how they make chocolate and different kinds of things that they do to survive here as well. So there's a nice culture to be involved in, should that be what you're interested in.
Okay. What about food? I know that certain areas predominantly fish, whatever, but what is the food like there?
Well, that was one of the things that attracted me to here, to be honest with you, is that the food is fresh and available. Now, we don't grow everything in Bocas proper because some things don't grow here. It's too hot. But what we don't grow here, the things that grow here, like avocados, mangoes, pineapples, guava, that type of tropical fruits and vegetables, a lot of root vegetables, like yami and I'm blanking out on those, but but we use them. Plantains, for example, bananas grow really well, things like that. And then the things that need a little bit cooler temperatures, like lettuces, and carrots and the things you would normally plant in the spring, they grow in the mountains up in Boquete, and they ship it down every day. So you get fresh, at least twice a week, you get fresh fruits and vegetables delivered that are organic because you find worms in them, and that kind of thing. And I feel very good about the food here. It's not overly processed. It's not like you can't go to the grocery store. You can go to the grocery store and you can buy processed food and canned goods and anything that you want. But if you want to eat really healthy, all of that's available here. And the grocery stores have started carrying even vegan stuff, plant-based things for people who want to do that. So.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds pretty amazing, and I love anywhere that, whether it be a lot of the tropical fruits that you can get there that just don't keep on the shelf, in the U.S., or it's really hard to transport. It's always neat to go down to some of the places where you can get them for sure.
Right, and we eat avocados, we eat mango and papaya and pineapple like every day, pretty much. Coconuts. There's a wealth of coconuts. We don't do dairy, but we drink a lot of coconut milk and use coconut cream, and it's all fresh. I had a lady in town makes it fresh for us.
Awesome. How about some of the other places that you've helped people invest? Tell us maybe a little bit about where you're investing or have people that you're helping to invest, like in Mexico.
Well, yeah, that's the only other Central American country where I've actually invested. And so when I was first starting out, my son lived in Mexico and actually met his wife there. And he wanted me to invest in Mexico. And I never quite felt really good about the government there, so I didn't want to plant my flag there. However, I did meet a friend down there that was living down there, and he was a carpenter and contractor, and we partnered up, and I built a spec house with him in Tulum, and then we subsequently sold that for a profit. And that's the basis of the experience that I have in Mexico. It was that one time, and then I bought everything in Panama and didn't really go back.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard good things about Tulum, but it's always, maybe share your concern, or at least, some of what's going on in Mexico is, it's hard to say whether it's overstated or if it is as bad as in certain areas as you hear a little bit more crime there, a little bit more violent crime type stuff there than other places. We have a friend that I think they're more in Panama City, but she's buying and has a couple different. I think hers are more condominiums, but she puts them on short-term rentals. And she lives here in San Antonio. I live in San Antonio, Texas. She lives here. I think they've been down there though. Gosh, for at least a month or so. That's where her husband is. So we've been meaning to go. They've been telling us about the great deals down there, and we just haven't had a chance to check it out. But I'll have to definitely keep this in mind, and certainly come check out the islands that you're talking about here.
Having been in the country for over 20 plus years and being in the real estate business most of that time, I have a lot of contacts all around the country. I owned a villa up in Boquete for 10 years. I'm friends with a lot of the real estate agents in Panama City. So pretty much anybody that, if I don't have the answer for you, I probably have a contact somewhere in the country that does, and I can refer out. So
awesome. Well, we'll definitely stay in touch then for sure. This has been really, really interesting. It's always neat to hear about different areas. Sometimes we only look in our own backyard, and there's such a wide variety of places to live. And I think it's a disservice for us to not look beyond our borders. And certainly, Panama is an amazing place, and a great option for a lot of people. So How can people find out more about you if they want to potentially talk with you about investing, whatever it may be? What's a good spot for people to reach out to you?
Well, one easy way to get in touch with me is my LinkedIn profile, just Anne Michelle Wan, or my company, Passive Profit Partners. I also have a website that tells about my current projects, www.passive-profit-partners.com. So either way, you can send me a message and I'll get back to you, and I'm happy to consult.
Fantastic. I have two more questions for you that I ask every guest. One would be just, any advice you might give somebody who is just starting out in their investment journey.
Well, the advice I would have is, despite any fear you might have about investing outside the borders, you're not really diversified unless you do. So be brave and take the leap. Give it a shot. Do your due diligence and try something. So that's one piece of advice I would say. And the other thing, a book I would recommend, and one that helped me a lot in my travels, is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. It's a great book. I'm sure many of you have read it. We'll reread it.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of those you kind of got to keep on the rotation, every now and then. It seems like every time I do a lot of Audible, but when I re-listen to it, you always pick up something new. So
Exactly.
great recommendation. Well, Anne Michelle, this has been great. I appreciate so much you taking the time to visit with us here on The Wealth Flow, and I think we'll call it a show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Being that you're still here, I trust you found value in this episode. I personally wish I would have known these guests and strategies when I started my wealth creation journey. Go to wealthflow.capital to subscribe to our newsletter. And as a free gift, we will send you our quarterly market report and the top 10 things to look for in an investment opportunity. Take a minute to give our show a rating and review. Help us reach 1 million professionals by subscribing and sharing this episode with someone you know who could also find value in it.